Good evening, Facebook Live. Apostle Terrence Lyons of Ecclesia Ministries here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Coming to you again on tonight, bringing you tonight's Bible study. Pray that everybody's had a good week thus far. Pray that everything's good and clear. Definitely ready to rock and roll. We in day 26 between between Pentecost and Passover to Pentecost, and being at this time, got different things going on. So pray that everybody's been doing well. Give it a minute or two for folks to come on live and get to be a part of this, because we got us a barn burner tonight. Sure, if you've seen the question, you've already wondering where in the world is Apostle going tonight. Good evening there, Mr. Clarence and Miss Linda. Good evening now, my sister, Pastor April. Pray that everybody's had a good week. Good evening now, Prophetess Tanisha. Ready to stir it up tonight. Ready to stir it up for real tonight. I had some different things that come at me this week, so I know without a shadow of a doubt we about to turn some tables tonight. Definitely, for sure. But like I said, being in between Passover and Pentecost is always a different time anyway. Reason being, it's all reenacted. Good evening there, sis. It's all reenacting the spirits of that season. So we always want to be aware and understand that any time that you're between Passover and Pentecost, there's a different level of things that's going on, because you've got some personal things that's going on and you got some corporate things that's going on all at the same time. So I'm going to touch on this just a little bit before we dig deep into tonight's question and everything else, but just so that everybody has an understanding of what you've been encountering. So during the time between Passover and Pentecost, you have a group of people that's taking place at the first, Pentecost of after Jesus' resurrection. So you got a group of people, minimal 120, excuse me. And with that minimal of group of people, you've got at minimal about 9 to 10 different languages. That's minimum, okay? And I haven't just put everything in there on purpose of numbers, of knowing how many different languages is in there. Good evening there, Pastor Lisa. But at minimal, you got about 9 to 10 different languages. You got 120 people. You got all of them sitting in an upper room for 50 days. Every one of them's separated away from what they are normally accustomed to doing during that time of life. So between Passover and Pentecost, you start to feel a little separated from your normal routine. If I start to meddle a little bit, just understand. We're going to get into the information here in just a minute, but I'm wanting you to understand some things before I get into this. So you're away from your normal routine. Your normal routine, you tried to get it back on track. You tried to get it to where it's like it used to be, and it just ain't working. Here's why I need you to understand this. Because there's a time that you're redoing your personal routine while at the same time connecting with a corporate group that's redoing their personal routine. So when all of that's happening, it's a lot of unstableness taking place. And so if you've been feeling some instability, you've been feeling, some unsurety about some things, that's why it's going on with everybody, because that's the spirit of the season. Now, here's what I want you to get. Good evening there, cousin. Here's what I want you to get, because that's why the question tonight, I put it in the slang and I put it in the prim and proper. So when I'm dealing with both of them tonight, y'all understand. Why aren't you confident? Or the one I'm probably going to be using the most is, why ain't you confident? Because what we got to understand is we've got the Most High God. We've got the Savior of the world. Why ain't you confident? Well, I'm going to answer that question. We're gonna meddle, and I got to tell y'all this. I got to go ahead and let you know this. Good evening there, Miss Elizabeth. I got to let y'all know this. I'm going to meddle, and either one or two things is going to happen by the time that we're done with this section of the series. Either y'all going to get confident, or you going to be mad at me and ready to throw rocks at me. And I'm fine either way. Because if I make you mad enough, you're going to change your routine anyway. If I make you mad enough, you're going to get on board and do what needs to be done anyway. But I promise, the way that I'm going to have to meddle, even starting out tonight, just got to do what we got to do. So let's go ahead and dig. Our first scripture we want to look at, I want you to go to Numbers chapter 13, verses 26 through 33. Numbers chapter 13, verses 26 through 33. Why ain't you confident? Why? So let's look at this. It says, and they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. So they didn't just come back with a report. They came back with some fruit of representation that came from where they're headed to, where they're supposed to get to. All right, watch verse 27. It says, and they told him and said, we came unto the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. It's like, yeah, that's Numbers 13, sis. Numbers 13, verses 26 through 33. I might have said the wrong thing, but watch this. It says this. It says, nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. Watch this. But the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. All right. I want you to watch this, because I want you to see this crystal clear in these last two verses. It says, and they brought up an evil report of the land, which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof, and all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And there we saw the giants the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Okay. Why ain't you confident? Why? For the prim and proper, why aren't you confident, brother, sister? Like I said, I ain't going to do that all night. We're going to be more in why ain't you confident? Because I got to get in your face with this one. I got to deal with you about this one because we're at a place that God's best should be coming forth, okay? This is why this is so vital. First thing you got to understand is that conditions should never alter your confidence. Conditions should never alter your confidence. After you've been told what God desires for you, after you've been given God's plan, conditions should never alter your confidence, period. What you got to understand is the promise don't change because the conditions change. The promise don't change because the conditions change. See, your conditions going to always be changing, but the promises of God, they're yes and amen. Since they're yes and amen, your job is to make sure that no matter what conditions you see, you stay focused on what you've been promised, period. I don't care who it is that's opposing you. I don't care how big they are. I don't care what may come abroad. Do not, I repeat, do not alter your confidence all because conditions change, period. I cannot tell you how important this part is for answering the question of why ain't you confident? Because if you start looking at the conditions and you start paying more attention to the conditions than you do to what was promised you, that's what ends up causing you to no longer be confident in what you've been promised. Now, here's what I need you to get, because I'm ready to go to this second point. You see, this second point, I want you to understand something. I want you to go to the book of Acts. This is what I was kind of touching on at the beginning. I want you to go to the book of Acts, chapter 1, verses 12 through 14. Book of Acts, chapter 1, verses 12 through 14, because I need you to see something. I need you to understand this clear before we go to meddling and getting into the rough stuff. I pray that the sound is clear for y'all tonight. I made the adjustments. It looks like it's bouncing on my end like it's supposed to. But, again, y'all shoot me a thumbs up. Let me know something. Let me know that it's good. But in the book of Acts, chapter 1, verses 12 through 14, I want you to see this. Acts chapter 1, verses 12 through 14 says this. It says, "Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey." Now that's very important, okay? Very important. 7 days journey. 7 days journey, okay? This is what I want you to get. 7 days is plenty of time for you to change your mind about the direction that you want to go. Now, I want you to understand this, because that's what's been messing some of y'all up. You'll make a decision about day 2 or 3. I don't know if I want to keep doing this or not. But y'all ain't ever twisted like that. Y'all ain't ever shifted nothing like that. Because again, you got to make sure that when the conditions change, you cannot let that alter your confidence. Period. This is why I need you to get this. Watch what happens in the next verse. Verse 13. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, where abode both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip, Thomas, Bartholomew, Matthew, James, the son of Alphaeus, Simon, Zelotes, and Judas, the brother of James. These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and with his brethren. Watch this. And just to throw in verse 15 so that I can show you the number. It says, and in those days, Peter stood up in the midst of the disciples and said, the number of names together were about 120. Here's why I wanted you to understand that. Because your confidence, watch this, your confidence should be had whether you're by yourself or in an army. Your confidence should be had whether you're by yourself or in an army, period. The reason I need you to get this part right here is because some of you are about to hit some situations that you're going to be seemingly the only one that's facing what's going on, whether that's on the job, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's in family, whether that wherever it's at, in the church, whatever. You're going to be facing some things that's going to be seemingly like you're the only one that is having to deal with it. And truth of the matter is, you probably are going to be for a moment in time. Because, watch this, he's checking your confidence. He's making sure that you're going to be able to stay confident whether they with you or whether they are not with you. He's making sure that as we walk through this season, either you confident or you ain't. And see, as Christians, and I'm going to deal with this in depth Saturday, as Christians, there's zero reason why we shouldn't be confident in all facets, all the time, all situations. Why is this so vital? Now it's about to get rough. I love y'all. Y'all know I do. Y'all know I appreciate y'all. Y'all know everything. Y'all know I do. Here, take this virtual hug. Let me pat on you a little bit before we get to going in these other parts. Because this is about to start getting rough. So here's the deal. I want you to go to Galatians chapter 1, verse 10 through 12. This is one of the scriptures that I had you to look up. Galatians chapter 1, I just had you to look at verse 10, but we're going to look at verse 10 through 12. Galatians chapter 1, verse 10 through 12 says this. Galatians chapter 1, verse 10 through 12 says this. It says, for do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I yet pleased men, I should not be the servant of Christ. Christ. I should not be the servant of Christ if I seek to please men. See, that's important to understand here. Please hear what I'm fixing to show you. Watch verse 11. He says, but I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. See, that's why everything that y'all are hearing from me concerning time, season, the only person that gave me that information was God himself. I'm going to show you in verse 12 so that you can understand why I can say this the way I'm about to say it when I break some stuff down. He says, for I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of Jesus Christ. Here's the deal. I know God chose me to teach about time and season. I know he did. I'm not saying I'm the only one he chose. I'm saying I know he chose me. The reason I know he chose me is because when I was trying to go to other folks that were already been through Bible college, already been pastoring, already been, in and through seminary, already been dealing with all of them things. And I'm trying to ask them what God's showing me, and they like, no, I don't know what you're talking about, man. We didn't study none of that. We didn't see none of that. And of course, since they didn't have anybody that had taught them that or showed them that, hearing it come from little old me who don't dress up, who ain't trying to be a part of nobody's group, nobody's clique, nobody's nothing, I'm trying to give them information that I know without a shadow of a doubt it works, because I had already been doing it about a year or two before I even started trying to ask people, and like, okay, maybe since ain't nobody seeing this, nobody else is seeing this, well, maybe I might be off a little bit. And the Lord's like, no, you ain't off. I'm the one that showed you this. Keep doing it. I'll keep proving it to you. Here's why I want you to get this. Because point number 3 is this. Commitment combined with consistency will establish confidence. Woo! Commitment combined with consistency will establish confidence. And here's why some of y'all ain't confident. Because you ain't committed, nor have you stayed consistent. I love you. I gave you your hug. I patted you on the back. I let you know all of this. I did that because I knew this blow was coming. Commitment combined with consistency will establish confidence. This is what you got to understand. First, you got to commit. That's first thing. You got to commit to say, you know what? I don't care what comes. I'm going to believe and I'm going to stick with what God said, period. I'm going to let God be true and let every man be a liar. We'll look at that here in just a minute, but I'm telling you about a mentality. This is where your confidence comes from. Commitment, you got to commit first. Then you're going to have to stay consistent with what you committed to in order for you to have confidence about it. See, and this right here is where the issues have been coming in. You ain't wanting to stick with nothing. Get a little difficult? Get a little more difficult than you think it's supposed to be? No, let me try something else. Watch this. God must not be in this. It's too hard. Commit. Stay consistent. And the confidence is going to come. Because after it keeps manifesting results, no matter how the conditions change, you're going to eventually be confident about that. Now, today is day number 26 between Passover and Pentecost. With today being day number 26 between Passover and Pentecost, it's also the 11th day of the second month. Now, the second month is important because for a lot of folks that didn't get things in place like they needed to in the first month, in the second month, there's called a second Passover. That's going to be in 3 days, okay? That for people that did not get to partake of the Passover, they put together another ordinance so that those that missed it, whether they were dealing with dead bodies, whether they were traveling, whatever reason they weren't able to partake of the Passover during the 14th day of the first month, during the second month, they had another Passover. Here's why I'm telling you this. Here's why I'm wanting you to understand this piece of information. That was so consistency could be had across the board. Because the next thing that takes place is their lives get accelerated. Those who didn't get to partake of it during the first month, when they get to the second month and they're taking a Passover, they don't get another 50 days. Everything that God's fixing to do in them is fixing to be fast-tracked. I'm trying to keep from blowing a gasket because I want y'all to understand some stuff. Some of y'all feel like you got left out of some things. Get confident. I need for everybody on here that's on here now, I need for you to type, get confident. Because anything that you might have felt like that you got left out on is fixed to be fast-tracked. But you're going to have to commit. You're going to have to stay consistent. And then that confidence will get established. Once that confidence gets established, now everything that is set to be fast-tracked has no option but to be fast-tracked. This is why. Because once you get confident, see, that's what God's waiting on in a lot of y'all situations. He's saying, you don't believe me yet. see, you got to get confident. See, because you don't believe him yet. He said, I can't move until you get confident. He's saying, you mine, you my child. I gave you the promise, but you ain't got confident yet. So now you shook. Now you thinking everything is unraveling, all because only thing left is for you to get confident so I can move. I can't move until you get confident. See, we set the culture. That's why I told you about self-culture last week. We set the culture. This is how you're supposed